Sadia na minu ya ebo amane no se ye ni kirem all roads list to parliament nti ye de ni kire ho na yakɔhwɛ de ekoso pɔte ne de kwantre no anum nti de bekoso no me ne ya translate de be kirem e de akirem na amoso matiase ye o mafiefie mu
of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces in this chamber. His Excellency, the President is here in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to deliver a message on the state of the nation to this honorable House. On behalf of leadership and honorable members of this august House, it is my privilege and singular honor to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic to the House. Honorable members, before I invite His Excellency the President to deliver the message on the state of the nation, permit me to recognize the presence in this august chamber of the following distinguished personalities. We have with us, and it's also a privilege for him to be here, the Vice President, in the person of His Excellency Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia. We have His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Law Lords, the Chief in charge of all the Law Lords in this country. My Lord Chief Justice Kwasi Enim-Yeboah. We also have the presence of our First Lady, Her Excellency Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. And we have the spouse of His Excellency the Vice President, you know, the person of His Excellency Mrs. Samira Bawumia. We are privileged to have the chairman of the WOHO Council of State present here. And you know, the chairman is the person of Nana Otu Sribo II. Let me, before I proceed, announce that we are also privileged to have the presence of my wife. The spouse. We are also privileged to have the presence of the former First Lady, a very yes, she has been a very bold lady, and in fact, I can confirm that she's been one of the catalysts that has really brought the issue of women empowerment, not only in Ghana, but globally. We have the presence Excellency Nana Konadu Ajiman Rawlings. And we have the presence of the chairman of the party in government, the New Patriotic Party, in the presence here. He was, as you know, a former first Deputy Speaker and also a former second Deputy Speaker, and that used to be called the Elembele Mugabe. He is in the person of Honorable Freddie Blay. And we have the General Secretary of the party in power, the New Patriotic Party, in the person, quite a young man, John Boedu. We have honorable members, my attention has just been drawn that we have with us the whole chief of staff. She used to be in charge of my wives in parliament here, and now she's the chief of staff of the whole country. But I still refer to her as my senior wife. She's in the person of Honorable Akusia Frema Opare. And we have the General Secretary of the alternative government, in the person the National Democratic Congress, the General of all generals. He was a member of this House for 3 good terms and a Deputy Minister of State. He's in the person of Honorable Johnson Asiedu Inketia. With all this galaxy of important men and women, statesmen, definitely my expectation is that the dignity of this House, the majesty and aura of this House will be enhanced. It's with this, I now have the greatest pleasure in inviting His Excellency the President to deliver his message. Your Excellency, you may now deliver your message.
Speaker, it is always an honor and a pleasure to be back here where I was a 3-time member to give a message on the state of the nation as required by the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I hope you forgive me if I begin by asking members of the House to join me to salute the management, technical, and playing teams of the Black Stars. Who against the odds beat the the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Abuja yesterday. Their qualification for the World Cup has brought so much joy to Ghanaians, and we're looking forward to an outstanding performance in Qatar. 3 cheers for the Black Stars. In accordance with protocol and convention, it is good to see that First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo, Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, spouse of Mr. Speaker, Madam Alice Ajua Jonas, Chief Justice Anini Yeboah, and Justices of the Supreme Court, the Chairperson Nana Uto-Sribo II, and members of the Council of State, Chief of Defense Staff, Vice Admiral Seth Amwama, Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Okufu-Dampare, and service chiefs are all present. Mr. Speaker, the House is also duly honored by the welcome attendance virtually of the former President of the Republic, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Ajiman Rawlings, and the Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Mr. Speaker, from my vantage point as President of the Republic, from the focus point as head of government, from the enviable position of a husband, a father, and a grandfather, I know that there is a general sense of anxiety in our nation at the moment. The Ghanaian people are anxious about the economy, the cost of living, income levels, jobs for young people, and even about issues on which we all thought we had achieved a national consensus. When some amongst us are raising questions about the certainties on which we are building the state, it is not surprising that worries about the stability of the government would become cause for heightened tension in the nation. Mr. Speaker, 2 years ago to the day, we were in the midst of a lockdown in the main metropolitan centers of our country. We were truly in the midst of the unknown. It took a while before it even got a name, but a pandemic it was. And the only certainty about it was that nobody knew very much about it. The scientists, the health experts, and the World Health Organization were all united in their view that the virus would cause a lot of devastation. The world before COVID now seems such a long time ago, and the trauma of a world ruled by a pandemic has changed all our perspectives. Back in March 2020, when the first cases of COVID hit our country, we and the rest of the world were in uncharted territory. Fear and sheer terror gripped our land. Probably to future generations, it will look quite obvious what should have been done. But 2 years ago, it felt like we had fallen into a dark, malicious, and terrifying abyss. We could not have been prepared for the catastrophe that hit us. Even the richest economies with the most sophisticated structures were unprepared. Maybe some of us have forgotten what the experts were predicting at the time. Our health and medical infrastructure was woefully inadequate, and we would not be able to cope there were going to be piles of dead bodies strewn across the streets of Africa. There was a general consensus that we should spend all our energies on resources, on protecting lives. I remember, for example, the discussions about PPEs 2 years ago. Nobody was asking or was interested in how much they cost. Just find them for our health workers, and that was the only consideration. I wonder how many people remember the cost of the first face shields and nose masks that came into our country. I took the decision we would prioritize the savings of lives, and then we would get together to rebuild our economy. Nobody imagined the devastation would be so widespread and last so long. We've had our fair share of COVID deniers and conspiracy theorists, but it is fair to say, Mr. Speaker, that our management of the COVID-19 outbreak has been exemplary and has been so acclaimed by the world. And with the great mercies of the Almighty, we have saved lives. Indeed, the total number of deaths we have sadly recorded, 1,445, represents a minuscule fraction of the total number of deaths on the African continent, 0.6%. I remember a year ago, we were in the midst of the second wave of COVID infections and deaths. There was widespread fear. Again, there was consensus. We should concentrate all attention and resources on protecting lives. By that time, a little more was known about the virus, and the anxiety has shifted to the provision of vaccines. We moved rapidly to secure the provisions of vaccines, first for the frontline officials and workers and those most at risk, and then to the general mass of the population, always relying on the current scientific thinking. We had to learn some very hard lessons, and our belief in the need for self-sufficiency was reinforced when vaccine nationalism was played out blatantly by the rich and powerful countries. Mr. Speaker, the Presidential Vaccine Manufacturing Committee, which I set up to respond to this obvious deficiency, has put in place a comprehensive strategy for domestic vaccine production and the establishment of a National Vaccine Institute to implement the strategy, which will enable us to begin the first phase of commercial production in January 2024. A bill will shortly be brought to you in this House for your support and approval for the establishment of the National Vaccine Institute. This pandemic exposed other shortcomings of our country, which have undoubtedly contributed to the anxieties that have befallen the nation. Agenda 111 was born out of this necessity to address some of these shortcomings. At the normal rate of growth, we're not likely to make up the deficit in our health facilities infrastructure for a very long time. Hence the need for a special dedicated program of infrastructural development. We are undertaking the construction of 101 entities, which comprise standard 100-bed district hospitals for 101 districts without hospitals, with accommodation for doctors and nurses. 6 new regional hospitals for each of the 6 new regions. The rehabilitation of the Efia and Kwanta Hospital in the Western region. 1 new regional hospital for the Western region, and 3 psychiatric hospitals for each of the 3 zones of the country, that is North, Middle, and Coastal. It is an ambitious project which must and will be done, and which will create some 33,900 jobs for construction workers, and on completion, some 34,300 jobs for health workers. Mr. Speaker, I have to report that, like all major construction projects, it is evident that the initial schedule we gave for the completion of Agenda 111 was overly ambitious. Identifying suitable sites around the country, for example, has turned out to be even more problematic than had been anticipated. I am now able to say that a great deal of the preparatory work has now been completed, and work has started at 87 of the 111 sites. I've been assured that preliminary work on the remaining 24 sites is ongoing. We have every intention of seeing this project through to its successful end, which will enable me to commission all 111 hospitals before I leave office on 7th January 2025. Mr. Speaker, we have saved lives and fared much better than we had feared and the experts predicted. But the consequences of lockdowns, border and business closures, and unplanned expenditures have combined to have a devastating impact on our economy. The unplanned expenditures included, but were not limited to, the recruitment on a permanent basis of 58,121 healthcare professionals and the payment of extra incentives to our frontline health workers. It took an unbudgeted 1.9 billion cedis to ensure that our children and teaching staff went back and stayed in school safely. Some, including regrettably a few in this honorable House, went as far as to accuse the government of trying to kill Ghanaian children when we introduced the controlled school reopenings. I might add here that in some countries, school closures have lasted for 20 months, and children are only now going back to school. Our children did not lose a single academic year. We provided nearly 5 million households and over 10 million people with electricity and water subsidies at the time they were most needed. In all, data from the Ministry of Finance tells us that an amount of 17.7 billion cedis, 4.6% of GDP, has been spent in containing the pandemic since 2020. Mr. Speaker, the NPP government came into office with a plan to build a resilient economy and set us on the path to prosperity. We were on course, and our performance between 2017 and the beginning of 2020 demonstrates we were making rapid progress. Indeed, in 2017, 2018, and 2019, we recorded average annual GDP growth rates of 7%, making us one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We grew the economy from the cedi equivalent of 54 billion United States dollars at the end of 2016 to the cedi equivalent of 72 billion United States dollars in 2020, a 33% increase. Then COVID arrived. This is not something that anyone could have planned for, and the consequences are there for us all to see around the world. The big and established economies of the world have been knocked off their planned trajectory. Countries where budget deficits were unknown and prohibited by law suddenly had to accept huge deficits to underwrite social cohesion. The economic devastation of COVID has since the beginning of this year been further aggravated by the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has worsened the economic outlook of the entire world. We in Ghana have not escaped this development, and the consequences are being felt in rising living costs at our markets and at fuel stations. The terrible events in Ukraine have a direct impact on our lives here in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, 30% of our wheat, flour, and fertilizer imports come from Russia. 60% of iron rods and other metal sheets are imported from the Ukraine. And almost 20% of Ghana's manganese is shipped to the Ukraine. The bombs might be dropping on cities half a world away, but they are hitting our pockets here in Ghana. Even so, we have managed to ensure that fuel supplies have not been disrupted, unlike in several other parts of the world. Last week, the Minister for Finance spelled out in detail to the country the economic and fiscal difficulties we face, and the raft of measures we're introducing to bring relief and restore us to economic growth. The measures that have been announced by the Minister for Finance are meant to demonstrate that we are aware that we are in difficult times and we are addressing the situation. The belt-tightening measures being set for members of the executive have been elaborated within this context. And I'm hoping that you're going to join us in this undertaking. This government remains alive to its responsibilities to the Ghanaian people. The difficulties of the time notwithstanding, we intend to continue to grow this economy and bring prosperity. That will only happen when we continue to invest in the future. Our children will continue to be educated and be equipped to run a modern and digitalized economy. The free SHS and free TVET are the best vehicles we have devised to take us to the realization of our goal of an educated and skilled workforce. The computerized school placement system is currently ongoing, and the latest batch of JHS students will soon embark on their free SHS and free TVET education. The TVET institutions are being upgraded and equipped to enable them train the increased numbers of children that we want to be attracted to that sector to meet the modern needs of our economy. This year, I'll be commissioning some of the 34 refurbished National Vocational and Technical Institutes, NVTIs, across the country. The refurbishment comprises the construction, rehabilitation, and equipment of laboratories, workshops, additional classrooms, hostels, and administrative offices. Within the next few months, the construction of 5 technical colleges will begin in various parts of the country. 3 technical institutes will be upgraded to tertiary status. The initial phase for the construction of 9 TVET campuses will commence next month in Bosomtwe, Achimewisa, Boakon, Kenyase, Patuda, Dambai, Larabanga, Guabuliga, and Tolibri. These campuses will have academic facilities, workshops, laboratories, hostels, and staff accommodation, and provide access for training. Government is in the process of securing financing for the construction of 5 STEM universities in 5 new regions. That is Western North, Savannah, Northeast, Ahafo, and Uti regions. Steps are being taken to turn the planned Bunso campus of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development into a standalone independent university focused on the study of engineering. Construction of this campus is set to begin within the next 3 months. Mr. Speaker, there is great potential for our people in the creative arts, fashion, and film industry. We want to unleash the creativity, enterprise, and innovation of our youth by giving them education and skills training in the creative arts. The Creative Arts Senior High School in Kwadaso in Kumasi, whose construction is currently 70% complete, will serve as a beacon for many young and talented people seeking a fulfilling career in this field. Mr. Speaker, I recall with nostalgia the end of year 2019, just before the onset of COVID, when the world came to Ghana in that December to remember. And we were the happy place to be at the end of our year of return. Ghana continues to lead the push for African Renaissance through the decade-long Beyond the Return project. The December in Ghana component of this project has positioned Ghana as the destination to visit every December. Last year, the country recorded some 623,523 visitors, up from the 55,108 visitors the year before, signifying a marked rebound of our tourism sector. We should recapture those glorious moments and build on them as we work hard to reclaim what we lost to the COVID years. Government is therefore undertaking a comprehensive renovation and modernization of tourist attractions across the country, such as the Cape Coast and Elmina Castles, Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, which will enable us to position Ghana as the preferred tourism destination in West Africa. Mr. Speaker, government is determined to make our country the place where hard work pays good dividends. We've made substantial investments in the agriculture sector. For example, because we recognize this is where a substantial number of our people make a living. The successes of the program for Planting for Food and Jobs have transformed the lives of many farmers around the country. I'm glad to announce that the Tono irrigation dam has been fully rehabilitated and is back to life and fully operational, and is serving the needs of many farmers in the areas around them. The result of significant investment by my government in the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project has resulted in the availability of a total of 13,190 hectares of additional irrigable land through the rehabilitation of Tono, Pong, Left Bank, and Pong irrigation schemes for rice and vegetable cultivation. Immediate benefits arising from the scheme include improved rice yields, increasing from 4.5 tons per hectare to 5.5 tons per hectare, leading to increased production and growth in farm incomes. This has benefited some 14,264 smallholder beneficiaries directly, creating some 40,000 jobs along several value chain activities generated from the irrigation schemes. In particular, at the Pond Left Bank irrigation project, government through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has recently engaged 9 large-scale investors, in addition to smallholder farmers in the Kwong left maize and vegetables on 1,300 hectares, using modern production technologies to achieve improved productivity and production within the next 3 months. Government has also invested in the vegetable sector through the Ghana Peri-Urban Vegetable Value Chain Project. We provided irrigation infrastructure covering a total of 541 hectares, which directly impacts vegetable farmers in the Greater Accra region. In addition to these farmers, we've also provided inputs and technical support to vegetable farmers at Hikpo in the Volta region and Asokwa in the Ashanti region. The project has provided off-taker arrangements for both domestic and international markets. The construction of 80 warehouses with a combined storage capacity of 80,000 metric tons has been completed, and their entry into the food production chain is offering better protection to the harvest of farmers. There is no doubt that for the vigorous interventions we have made in agriculture in the past 5 years, which have made us more self-reliant in our food needs, our country would have been at much greater risk as the fallout from the dramatic worldwide increases in freight charges hit prices in our markets and on our supermarket shelves. Mr. Speaker, the cocoa industry has marked a lot of interesting and far-reaching achievements this past year, including producing 1,047,385 tons, the highest ever recorded in Ghana's history. Together with our counterparts in Côte d'Ivoire, we have addressed the inequalities in the international marketing system of cocoa by paying a living income differential of $400 per ton of cocoa to our farmers. This is a remarkable initiative that cushions the income of the Ghanaian cocoa farmer, the backbone of our economy. I want to draw attention to one other innovation in the industry that appears to be a small item. A non-adjustable electronic weighing scale has been introduced for the purchase of cocoa from our cocoa farmers. This scale, which was introduced at the start of the cocoa season in October, has been approved by the Ghana Standards Authority. It cannot be tampered with by purchasers. Not many people outside the cocoa industry will realize the significance of the introduction of this little bit of technology. But it brings to an end one of the main sources of distrust between cocoa farmers and officialdom. The age-old belief and suspicion that cocoa farmers are being cheated by tampering with the weighing machines has come to an end. The same use of technology to attract more young people into agriculture is continuing with the training of 537 youth in the production of high-value vegetables using greenhouse technology. 190 of them have been on an 11-month internship in Israel, and they are back with a lot of enthusiasm. We are expecting great things from them. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we're expecting greater things from the greater use of technology and the digitalization of our economy as a whole. I'm happy to report that the National Identification Card, the Ghana Card, has finally been integrated into our everyday lives as a cradle-to-grave necessity. Never again will it be that someone born in this country will live a full life, die and be buried without any record of his or her existence. The operations of the birth and death registry are finally being digitized to make sure the documents issued from that department are accorded the respect they should have. Every child born in this country will be registered, and the date of birth registered will remain your date of birth throughout your life. Mr. Speaker, there will be no school age, no football age, no SNIT age, and no official age. When we register for national health insurance, the details of our identification will be the same as the details on a driving license, a passport, and yes, on our tax identification number. Today, we all have addresses at which we can be identified, even if we live, unfortunately, for the time being, in a chaos. And when we die, that inevitable rite of passage will be recorded to mark the end of our life. Mr. Speaker, it is not enough that the state collects all this information. It is critical that every citizen is able to benefit from the digitization process. The benefits range from being able to give directions to our addresses for deliveries and being able to gain access to government services without having to go to the ministries. The Rural Telephony Project, being undertaken by GIFEC, is working to fill the void created by the telephone operators' inability or unwillingness to extend their services to areas they deem uneconomical to operate. It is important to extend basic telephone, voice, and data connectivity to every part of the country so we leave no one behind. Mr. Speaker, I've spoken on other occasions about the digitization of port operations, or what we now call the paperless port. I'm glad to say that the initial problems have been largely overcome, and we're witnessing the advantages in faster processes at the port and less opportunities for corruption with the reduction of human interface. ICOMS, when it was introduced, provoked a lot of controversy. At the moment, we are seeing the benefits. Indeed, customs revenue, prior to the implementation of ICOMS, for the period June 19 to May 20, stood at 11.5 billion cedis. Between June 2020, the start of ICOMS, and May 2021, teething challenges, ill-considered propaganda, and the impact of COVID-19 on global trade notwithstanding, customs revenue has increased by 27.6% to 14.36 billion cedis. Indeed, customs revenue for 2021 stood at 16.8 billion cedis, as opposed to 20.3 billion cedis in 2019, when ICOMS had not been implemented. The digitization of hospital records has started through the Lightwave Health Information Management System. We started with the teaching hospitals, and we plan to work in a phased approach to cover every health facility in Ghana. I'm sure this will be a welcome innovation for all. We have learned the very hard way. The first step to prosperity in Africa is for our countries to trade among each other. It is the reason we campaign for and supported and proudly host the Continental Office of the AFCFTA. Trading under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement officially commenced on 1st January 2021, and Ghana was the first country in Africa to establish custom procedure codes to facilitate trading under the AFCFTA. We've established a national AFCFTA coordination office to facilitate activities. We have high hopes that the AFCFTA office, which we proudly host, will bring urgency to growing trade amongst the African states. Possibly, and probably, the most significant steps towards making this African trade possible was taken in Accra a few weeks ago with the launch of PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. This is a leading-edge technology connecting African banks, payment service providers, and other financial market intermediaries to enable instant and secure payments between African countries. It means a trader in Ghana can order supplies in Kenya with cedis and buy it in Kenyan shillings and not have to go through dollars or euros or pounds sterling. This will simplify the historical complexities and costs of making payments across African borders and provide operational efficiencies to open up vast economic opportunities for all stakeholders. It means we have a simplified process that reduces the costs and complexities of foreign exchange for cross-border transactions between African markets and enables innovation in cross-border trade and access to new African markets. Mr. Speaker, if we campaign so hard for the opening up of trading among African states, we had better have something to sell. I'm glad to report that despite the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on firm-level production and productivity, as well as the disruption in global supply chains, the manufacturing subsector showed significant recovery last year. Manufacturing recorded an average growth of 7% in the first half of 2021, compared to 0.7% in the corresponding period in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. Our flagship One District, One Factory initiative is being implemented with business promoters being empowered and supported to establish new factories or to transform existing manufacturing enterprises to contribute significantly to job creation across the country. Mr. Speaker, through the 1D1F initiative, the Made in Ghana label is being stamped on a wide range of products proudly manufactured in Ghana. Out of a total of 278 1D1F projects at various stages of implementation in all the 16 regions. 106 factories are currently operational. 148 are under construction, while 24 projects are at mobilization stage. Mr. Speaker, in order to bring the youth on board the 1D1F program, 58 out of the 278 1D1F projects have been developed as enterprises fully owned by youth groups with direct government support. Each of these 1D1F youth companies are owned by between 40 and 50 youth as shareholders. In addition, 5 medium-scale state-of-the-art agro-processing common user facilities have been established with direct support from government and are owned by various groups of farmers whose farming operations have previously been undermined through lack of processing facilities. These farmer-owned companies have been established in 5 districts, namely Doma West, Savalugu, Sefia Kontombra, Setra Central, and Takwa in Swayem. They cover oil processing, rice milling, and the processing of maize into maize grits. Mr. Speaker, Quite a number of global vehicle manufacturing companies have set up assembly plants here in our country and started producing vehicles for our market and for the West African market. The well-defined Ghana Automotive Development Policy we outlawed in August 2019 has facilitated this welcome development. Since June 2021, Toyota and Suzuki brands of vehicles are being produced here, commencing with the production of Hilux, pickup, and Swift models. Volkswagen and Sinotruk, which commenced commercial operations in 2020, have continued to assemble their brands of vehicles and are enjoying significant local patronage. In addition, a new state-of-the-art assembly plant with capacity to assemble 5,000 new vehicles per annum has been established by Nissan in Tema, which is currently producing Nissan and Peugeot brands of vehicles for the Ghanaian and West African markets. I will have the pleasure to commission this new plant in Tema tomorrow. 3 other vehicle manufacturers, namely Kia, Hyundai, and Renault, are also expected to commence commercial production this year. Our national iconic automobile brand, the Kantanka brand, produced by Kantanka Automobile Company Limited, also stepped up production of its made-in-Ghana vehicles, which include Nkunimdie SUV, Omama pickup, Onata 4x4 pickup, Otumfor SUV, and K71 small SUV models. Now that the Minister for Finance has announced an embargo on the importation of 4x4 vehicles for official use, I hope the local assembly plants will take full advantage of the opportunity, especially since government is continuing with its policy of giving first priority to locally assembled vehicles in respect of all publicly financed procurement of vehicles. Mr. Speaker, we have proof beyond the education, agriculture, and manufacturing sectors to show that we have been using state revenue to expand infrastructure across other sectors and improve lives. For the first time in our history, we are doing something about the infrastructure needs of the judiciary on a major scale. A courthouse is an essential element of the architecture of a state dedicated to the promotion of the rule of law. And yet, there are large areas of our country that are not served by any court, and people have to travel long distances to access the services of a court. Unfortunately, as a former Chief Justice once put it, the conditions of most of the court facilities around the country where they exist are not fit for purpose. We have thus embarked on a project to provide 100 courthouses and accompanying residences for judges and magistrates around the country. 50 of them are being built and are near completion and should be handed over to the judiciary soon. Mr. Speaker, 121 residential units for the judiciary are also being built across the country. Furthermore, 22 new modern townhouses are being constructed at Denyame in Kumasi to address the accommodation challenges facing Court of Appeal judges assigned to the northern sector. Some of you might remember that work began some 20 years ago on the construction of Law House, a proposed new office accommodation for the Office of Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. A 12-story edifice consisting of 10 floors above ground and 2 stories underground. Work on the project has stopped many years ago. I'm glad to say that not only has the project been resurrected, I'm told it is expected to be completed by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, Whilst on the subject of law enforcement, the passage of the Right to Information Act, the Witness Protection Act, the amendment of the Criminal Offences Act, and other laws have enhanced significantly the capacity of the state in the fight against corruption. It is also an undeniable fact that budgetary allocations for institutions actively engaged in public sector accountability, that is the Office of the Auditor General, the Judiciary, Parliament, and the Ghana Police Service, have witnessed significant increases since I assumed office in 2017. Furthermore, we now have a new special prosecutor who appears to have all the wherewithal necessary to exercise vigorously the prerogatives of his office. Mr. Speaker, it is in the road sector that we have registered the greatest infrastructure achievement. I know that the word unprecedented is often used with careless abandon in our public discourse, but I use it carefully and purposefully. In the 5 years of my government, so far, more roads have been built, improved, and upgraded than at any equivalent period under any government in the history of Ghana. Some 10,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed in these 5 years. Let me mention, Mr. Speaker, that yesterday it was my honor and great pleasure to have commissioned the Tamale interchange. The first such interchange in the northern sector of our country, which the people of Tamale gladly celebrated. I considered it to be a most satisfying birthday present. We intend to continue with the building of roads around the country to accelerate the opening up of our country. Excuse me. Mr. Speaker, we have kept to our promise and kept the lights on in spite of worldwide upheavals in the energy sector and in spite of the huge legacy debts we inherited. We've almost completed the process of restructuring these debts to reduce their crippling effects on our public expenditure. With the introduction of more bulk supply points in areas such as Kasua and Pokuase, power transmission has improved tremendously in the southwestern and northwestern parts of Greater Accra. Power lines are getting upgraded to reduce commercial and technical losses and increase transmission capacity. Under the National Electrification Scheme, a total of 279 communities have been connected to the national grid. This has increased the national electricity access rate from 85.7% in 2020 to 87.3% as of January 2022. 487 more communities are at various stages of connection and completion. We are on course to achieve our ambition of universal access to electricity by the end of my term as the President of this country. The accommodation problems, Mr. Speaker, facing the military have long been matters of national sadness. I'm glad to say that the first stage of the military housing project, dubbed the Barracks Regeneration Project, has started with construction going on at all garrisons across the country. The military academy at Teshie is being modernized, and we're keeping our armed forces retooled and equipped to enable them to live up to their duties. Each of the different branches of the armed forces, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, has received significant financial assistance to upgrade its logistical bases and strengthen its capabilities, and its welfare requirements are being substantially addressed. We're building modernized armed forces with higher numbers of personnel that will be fit to meet the demands of the 21st century. The protection of our borders puts extra burden on the military, especially since there's increased terrorist activity in the region and instability in many of our neighboring countries. 15 forward operating bases, or FOBs as they are called, are being constructed across the country to help in the prevention of cross-border crimes and terrorist activity. Mr. Speaker, I believe we can all testify that our police service is undergoing a great improvement and a change of image before our very eyes. During times of anxiety, we need a responsive police service to boost the confidence of the population, and it is good to see the police rise up to the challenge. Nothing starts people off in a bad mood more than the driving habits and traffic jams that create chaos on our roads and make every road journey a nightmare. Gradually, the police are bringing order to the roads, and we all now know that the law is no respecter of persons or vehicle types. I urge all of us to cooperate with the police to perform their duties to enable all of us go about our lives in peace. I'm happy to state the government has been able to provide much needed modern equipment for the service, and we're constructing 320 housing units at the National Police Training School, which are at an advanced stage of completion. Work is also going on the construction of a huge barracks complex at Kwabinya to replace the one adjacent to the DWEN at 37, where the conditions of living are poor. Mr. Speaker, together with the implementation of a number of operational and personal welfare interventions, the morale of police officers has received a considerable boost, and today, public-focused interventions instituted by the Inspector General of Police have resulted in a better police-public relationship. The police service is gradually regaining the trust and confidence of the public under the leadership of its new Inspector General of Police. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated last year would happen, a national dialogue on illegal mining was held under the auspices of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry in Accra, as well as in 2 other regional ones in Kumasi and Tamale. If ever the support of all citizens was required to make something work, it is in the battle to end illegal mining and restore our lands and water bodies back to health. We have declared river bodies and forest reserves as red zones for mining. We have suspended the issuance of all prospecting, exploration, and reconnaissance licenses for minerals in forest reserves. Launched Operation Halt 2 to help rid our water bodies and forest reserves of illegal miners. Revamped the community mining scheme as a more sustainable and greener safeguards to replace illegal mining. What we need above all is the buy-in of all citizens to recognize that the degradation caused to the lands and water bodies by the illegal mining practices affect each one of us, and which all should take an interest to stop those involved. Let me use this platform to extend again the condolences of the nation to the victims of the Apiache explosion. The response to the disaster by the public and the organs of state was highly commendable. Government responded swiftly in the immediate aftermath of the incident by dispatching a high-powered delegation under the leadership of the Vice President to Apiachi. And Apiachi's support fund has been established to spearhead the building of a decent, green, and sustainable community to enable victims of this tragic incident and members of the community get back on their feet and rebuild their lives. As rising out of this incident, government will ensure that the health and safety policies of the mining industries are in accordance with international best practices. Mr. Speaker, the Green Ghana Day last year was a great success, as many people turned out to join in the exercise to plant trees. I urge all of us to continue to take care of what we planted to make sure that the 7 million seeds we planted, i.e. 2 million more than the original target of 5 million, become fully grown trees. And please, join in the Ghana Green Day when it comes along on 10th June, the designated Green Ghana Day for this year, when we seek to plant 20 million trees. That is a four-fold increase over the 2021 target of 5 million. Mr. Speaker, you would recollect that in my message to Parliament last year, I indicated the government is collaborating with the private sector to establish 14 medical waste treatment facilities and commence the construction of 16 integrated recycling and compositing plants across the country to help address once and for all the safe disposal of medical and municipal solid waste. I'm happy to inform the House that these facilities and plants are at various levels of completion and will be completed by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, as part of government's Water for All program, several water systems have been initiated and at our various stages of completion. The import of the program is to ensure that each region will benefit from at least one water supply project. Phases 1 and 2 of the Upper East Region Water Supply Project have been completed and will be commissioned soon. Contractors are on site working on the water projects in Kita and Sunyani, and preparatory works are ongoing on the Yendi, Damango, Tamale, and Sekandi Takradi water projects. Mr. Speaker, towards addressing the housing needs of Ghanaians, government has developed a new affordable housing program, with the state now playing the role of facilitator through the provision of land, infrastructure services, and tax incentives and exemptions to subsidize the cost of construction of the housing units to reduce their prices. In furtherance of this, preparatory works have commenced for the development of 2 designated sites at Pokwase Amasama in the Greater Accra region and Dedesua in the Ashanti region, which are expected to deliver some 12,000 housing units. The long wait for decent and secure accommodation for public servants at the district levels will soon become a thing of the past. Government, through the State Housing Company Limited, has commenced works on the preparation of the district housing program for the construction of rental housing units at the district level for public servants. The pilot phase will be implemented in 16 districts across the 16 regions of the country. That notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, government continues the completion of the existing affordable housing projects to increase access to secure, safe, adequate, and affordable housing units across the country. Tema Development Corporation, TDC, for example, has continued with the construction of the Mo Affordable Housing Project, which involves the construction of 3,016 housing units. The project is currently 30% complete. Mr. Speaker, Work is progressing on the Coastal Protection Program of government, whose aim is to improve the resilience of the country's coastline against tidal wave erosion, whilst protecting lives, livelihood, and properties of the people living across the coast. Accordingly, the Dansoman, Axim, Amanfo, Kuma, Anomabo, and Elmina Phase 3 coastal protection projects are currently at 98%, 100%, 65%, and 80% respectively. Other coastal protection projects are currently ongoing at Cape Coast, 72% complete, Discove, 38% complete, Commander, 85% complete, Abwazi Phase 2, 30%, and Ningo Pram Pram, 44%. In the medium term, government will commence works at Blekusu, Apam, Axim, La, and Teshi, Dansoman, Shaman, Ningo Pram Pram, Temanu Town, Anoga, and Takrady. Mr. Speaker, government's commitment to constructing a modern railway network in our country is gradually bearing fruit. The construction of the 22-kilometer section of the Western Railway line on a new standard gauge from Kojokrom to Manso, which commenced in 2018, is on schedule to be completed before the end of this year. Ahead of its completion, government has secured the needed funding to continue the Western Railway Development Project for an additional 78 kilometers from Manso to Huni Valley. The project will also include the conversion of the dual gauge tracks between Takrady and Kojokrom from narrow gauge to standard gauge. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to this House for considering and approving a commercial contract and a facility agreement of some 439 million euros to finance the development of another section of the Western Line from Iduadin to Obuasi, covering a distance of 51 kilometers. A lot more attention will be paid this year towards securing additional resources to complete the development of the Western Line from Awaso to link with the bauxite deposits at Ninehi, which will facilitate the development of the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation GIADEC project. Mr. Speaker, potentially one of the most decisive interventions of the 2022 budget has been the Youth Start program, which has been established to encourage the development of entrepreneurship amongst the youth. Coupled with an even greater systematic support for the private sector, which will be a priority of my second term, it represents a major pathway for the economic growth and transformation of our country and for the solution of unemployment. Mr. Speaker, I cannot purport to speak about the state of the nation without addressing some critical governance issues that have featured in recent public discussions. Certain elements have attempted to advocate coup d'etats as the answer to the problems of the nation. We came through a long and tortuous journey to arrive at today's consensus on a multi-party democracy. But the last 29 years of our Fourth Republic have shown that this has been the most productive period since our independence. Both the major political parties of the country, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, and the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have made positive contributions to this development. There's work to be done on building our institutions, but our democracy is worth fighting for. It is up to us to find a way to accommodate each other and our differences to make things work for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, It might also be well that coup d'etats have re-entered our discourse because of the turmoil in our neighborhood. The West African region is suddenly back in the international news headlines for all the wrong reasons. We're back again as the region of political instability and the place for coups. Long and bitter experience led ECOWAS to its current stance of zero intolerance for military coups. We in Ghana know the cost of instability. It leads to the exodus of our artisans and professionals and the emptying of teachers from our schools. Speaker, today, at every traffic light junction in our big towns and cities, you can see the results of instability in our neighborhood with the influx of refugees into our country. We should be unapologetic about campaigning for stable democratic governments in our region. We do not want to be an island of peace and stability in a region of turmoil. We do not aspire to be prosperous in the midst of want and poverty. We want a stable and prosperous Ghana in a stable and prosperous region. We should use our chairmanship and membership of ECOWAS, our membership of the African Union, our membership of the Commonwealth, our membership of La Francophonie, and our position as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council to advance these goals. Mr. Speaker, taking into consideration the fact that COVID infection numbers have fallen dramatically, and on the advice of the National COVID Task Force, and announced on Sunday, 27th March, in the 28th update of the Fellow Ghanaians series, the lifting of most of the restrictions that we have had to endure for the past 2 years. As the health experts have advised, I hope we shall continue with some of the measures, like the washing of hands and the enhanced hygiene protocols that have served us so well, even though they are no longer mandatory. I'm sure we're all very relieved that the wearing of masks is no longer mandatory and we can hug our loved ones. With the lifting of the COVID restrictions, I'm looking forward to renewed energy and enthusiasm as all workplaces reopen at full capacity. Mr. Speaker, despite the protracted and sometimes acrimonious nature of proceedings, I'm happy that the House has finally found it possible to pass the e-levy bill. I believe strongly the levy is going to make a significant contribution to revenue mobilization and the management of the national economy. And I want to thank members of the House for making this possible. Mr. Speaker, there are many problems that we have to overcome to get back to where we ought to be. I need your support. No president, no parliament, no government can undertake this task all by themselves. We need all Ghanaians to pull and push together. The road to recovery will be long and hard, but we have started on a good footing by accepting that we are in a difficult place and are taking the difficult decisions that will get us out. If anyone had ever had any doubts about the need for self-reliance, the point has now been forcibly drilled home to us. The pursuit of the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda is even more compelling now. I have no doubts whatever, Mr. Speaker, that we have it in us to build the Ghana of our dreams. I saw the spirit of togetherness and the willingness to help each other when COVID struck. We looked out for each other. I saw the sense of enterprise and innovation of the Ghanaian. I saw our manufacturers quickly adapt their plans to produce sanitizers, and our tailors equally quickly displayed the innovation they had always been known for by turning face masks into fashion items. We have first-class health professionals, and they came into their own during the crisis. And we're providing the infrastructure to enhance the quality of their work. We have first-class teachers. They showed it when the pandemic struck and kept our children firmly to their books. The self-confidence of the Ghanaian is well rooted. Let us, more than ever, hold up our heads high and face the future with courage, hope, and assurance. Let us recall our age-old Ghanaian values of hard work, enterprise, solidarity, dignity, and hospitality. Look around you, believe in Ghana, and be inspired by Ghana. We will bounce back together. The battle is the Lord's. May God bless us all in our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your attention.
Damasi Bebre. Aha. His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo ena ode o my Ghana tibia ye womu ababetu ejano na utie no pa dia utimi say afi atwa mu nsam na okan dodo na wasa pone hu bi e de ababeka ene de no ho a kire yen se Sicilia no wo gina ba bi ogina ba wuti o mapanye kasam a de di kan no wose wode ne ho to obi oye papa esa so no oye eja wasan yokunu ana yere ne my beautiful Rebecca ena no achi wasan eya citizen wo your mind ba eti wode ni nyina cancer ne ani anaje so otimu say o my Ghana emu ayeden ene de waje atum say o my no emu ayeden ense mo kan no edoso wakasa broba edo hwe baako but ye betututumu say be ya ye betimi edi ho enkomo yie edi amawo obeka ya o mapanyi di atodwa say Ukraine and Russia fontokwa no ahayen pa ka ho bi na fertilizer ho ayeden ka ho bi na iron rods ho ayeden but yen twam nko parliament mrasisi a ye ba nkomo no ye be san to aso.
This message on the state of the nation. With this, I'm looking at the time of the day. I want to give the opportunity to the leadership of the House to, if there is any indication of where we proceed from here. In other words, it is still within their ambit to move or not to move for the adjournment of this House. And I will start by giving the opportunity to the majority leader. Majority leader, I talked about adjournment.
The Speaker, as you indicated, we've just listened to the President deliver a message on the state of the nation. It lasted for 1 hour, 8 minutes. Speaker, given the exigencies of times, it's intended for us to begin the debate on the message tomorrow. and I guess we'll push ourselves to possibly Saturday or so. Possibly, we'll take it to next week at a day that the business committee shall appoint. Mr. Speaker, so in that regard, I want to move that this House takes an adjournment to reconvene tomorrow at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Speaker, I believe, as the President has shared with us, we stand united and in a very transparent
reconciliatory
and Mr. Speaker, very transparent and in a patriotic manner debate the statement and move forward as a nation. Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I so move.
Just a second.
Honorable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved. Any seconder? Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have heard His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We expected him to deliver the true state of the nation address, which will reflect the growing hardships and suffering of the Ghanaian people. Regrettably, Mr. Speaker, he himself today does not have the confidence even to talk about the economy or the state of the Ghanaian economy. He is continuing with his promises and slogans. But, Mr. Speaker, a constitutional imperative. We are prepared and ready to debate them and to prove a credible alternative led by John Dramani Mahama. We will. So, Mr. Speaker, so with the President willfully downplaying the hardship reality, I beg to second the motion for adjournment.
Honorable members. Honorable members. Order. Honorable members, I can only enjoy the nostalgia of being a majority leader and a minority leader. I enjoy the privileges of both. With this, I put the question. Those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, I put the question again. Those in favor of adjournment of sitting to tomorrow, say aye. Those against, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned till Thursday, 31st March 2022 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. The House is adjourned.
Say, oh, my penny, another Kufuado, when ye wie, and it's baby a dread or boss or no, ye bet to a mubina, fair the home como, titru pano, a sick assem to Tiano, and I say economy no, and won't ask them, and in see, Osha said yes, you quiet now. Send them dick catch on my penny to myself or no one so mano. A more aye day, many my Julius Ewaha or your financial experts in Tiana and a pay is a cana premato. Aha, and I know and I buy a discussion on there from day one and you didn't come up for you live in Hosa. Over just to Mrs. my penny baby or the 11 and a week and was sample ball cool so and in Yamabia was to say M1 or minor Ghana beyond Edward Kamwasem and it's Yabasa young common assay appear. You better touch much on economy, no?
Okay.
Aha.
Okay.
Which is come up and you see us say, I will cover the brain.
Yeah.
Around 17 billion, 17.5 thereabouts.
Yeah.
And Yashi cover the brain. See, I don't know. Okay.
Mini akwaba. Aha. Where the engine is some pass. Okay, I'm near your company abebo. Sika ya send COVID. We do a big crowd on an man no chese. Expose yen chese ba bia na esin to wo ne ade ade no covid be yipie ye ntina wo so yire ne ho no kamia na oye niema bia no mpo na de health agenda 111 so be pie mu ne ade a wakwakoye obi a bank komodi e form sika sem ho ni die se de besi aye ntutu ne ade wabene mu no se utie sika e de awura mu covid nko a enne ne aye tete se e free world bank so ba o man mu no a wo hwa o mampani abo ne ho mode
I say a bit here for ni for na a state of the nation address me say president attach on economy areas or analysis various sectors of the economy from free SHS to power TVET but as you share COVID now na yesi ye be ko ye chikaka to 2021 budget on expenditure na nkasa copy our president ka say true finance minister normal spend about 19 billion on COVID alone. Say COVID is mono. Now COVID in so be the critical risk factor my budget because a buy and na we a buy non shada and plan say one ho ye emergency bi ba be ba enu ntini wo sike bi na say ye health sector na bitimi absorb that pressure na COVID the buy and nti be emergency but ye hwemu nso a ya na argument na say debate na si cancel free external partners and na say if baby ebe boa COVID say na o kan no IMF Ghana special drawing right of about $2 billion. The World Bank, president country where Ghana council can say almost there's some $200 million, be additional $400 million. Buy. And now say the total expenditure now, what budget which is the 19 billion now. Now a question ibejina says kanka etimi bar for COVID expenditure no. I am more than the actual expenditure.
Yes.
Because $2 billion
support
fund bar from external partners now. Now it's a beboa COVID no. But ama as a still no economy no shocks no emu nyedin.
Yeah, that's what far off this one did. Okay.
It's in the say sika we nyina buy na still economy no shocks no gusu ye did. And I say bibi wo baby a add up e economy no. Nti e ho na bia ye penifo ana say finance minister and as a president ombetimi those aspects na ba na etimi discuss economy ni ahwe baby a na those challenges ni etimi aban nsompo enso hwe enim e-levy na opese odeba because now I say already now your budget now is already in deficit. Ghana anytime a budget bia na you in deficit. 2022 abaya budget 100 billion against 137 billion in terms of revenue expenditure. And there's already a deficit of 37 billion. And now in the 100 million, abaya so estimated say as part of the revenue measures or be impose e-levy. Into e-levy numuna idea babedu bibia ya babedu yejina sisi ano yenina ansu nim sene hang parliament ekoye ya ama the posture between majority minority ama e-levy no endra na me say abrewa yi puma kwa mo mutimi ya pass
e-levy ni jina ne na so for 4 months
yes
ti akwada kwa ranka oria
ba Julius ye betimi aka say o mine tibia ye wo mu ankasa no mapanyi kan wasemi tibia ye wo mu ano no
as compared to nkonta ubu
say ye be fa ne say o manpe o no ubu man no
but wo no expert analyst no wo no obetimi ehun say in reality no ne all can ye hu ti say the o manpani betimi aka se bia wasiesie sikasem na opposition baka say ne man reflect we botum you see
so you need pressure now say ahunhihia wo economy ni mu I say enyoma enhyada enkoyi ana say enyoma enhyada engina ne na so se ne ye pese ana say ye pese ye hunu no ye kokroma ya ye hwe increase in fuel prices Russia Ukraine war ba ye they be na commodity prices and so you say bibia in terms of goods and services consumption of goods and services bibia cost ro entini ye hwe ye telco si a omo
ye be ba beto aso every ho ye hwe say ye benya Maxwell Otu e wo parliament na mahu se woni emehyebiafo ni bi edi nkomo enti Maxwell what be kan march maha me kan march na 12 boy enti Maxwell ma hai Hello, Maxwell. Maxwell, and said that and Semen Kappa Panty. Yaba Costonia Link, Kenya, say, I see you let me in Parliament. I become, we say, or name Emrashem Jafoni be a dune community to so free baby now. And I make a case. Economy analysis is say no in your memory shada NCPA we use kaka bia in your market to be now ultimate we use can penasa enti ano na basically near the share economy no say ukra sika kakra na ultimate turn your mamo and I say economy regional now so but say na ntesa because of inflation.
Okay. Mami fa wempi so bia na atimi ama wanya fair idea wo mampani so de 1.9 billion ana awura education mu say so wohwe amama binom a pandemic ichie nyina bo mu no pinu akra fe no mu bi school but ono no hwe se nkoda na be koso asua de se be ya omo nkachi academic ayi no nti opushie ema omo man nkoda na kokora na bi mu criticize okukunya mana mayen and sa 1.9 billion na wa inject in education sector no wohwe awu like say yes busa first question no daddy amia wo say abebo ampa nkoda no omo krono mo bamu no say sika na necessary di wura mu ampa na because people is here can sabre no na wo fo bebre support omo madada.
The education sector ne dey you can say president da na kumaso because you share free SHS or they buy ye nyina ye call for the review of the free SHS na still no on pese free SHS no ye better nti education as a whole ne dey idea me say president per se ne track record so be free so kra na ye betimi akai no say education sector no timi ehye kina they say our council we inject 1.9 billion let me say ye first term project or model back in terms of science mathematics and engineering program ye share state of nation so no some person ACC school that are dying any even STEM universities and you know aside few challenges by education sector in terms of school feeding any free SHS I say Ghana seeking in our this sector na no economy no other part of the economy no suffer no with regards to education no president Timi ejina ne naso because na ye de ye ho kra toto Nigeria nkomo population edoso echen ye no your education budget alone is more than that of Nigeria. And for education sector there, you bet me a president, ejina ne naso, and I say with me abone ho, why are the that sector no? And you know, na say, if you are going forward no, say review no bet me about so there, na say, ya dia enkofogusu a etimi, say, free SHS no in terms of expenditure no and I say in terms of some of the items na it taking much of our revenue no so betimi aye mun sakraye kakra na nka ebetimi aboa
and I become much on e-levy no because ne kasa okan ye ni nyina no baby a me say to na koma so pa ye e-levy anro mo gitu mu wo de kasi so say Ghana beyond aid, you know, where you're sure say ebeshasiye. Now it's a long journey. You're going to a what, but I was here say ye betu. Yansha a kwanya ye faso expendiska. Now no yera can for a press conference or be ye say oma cut cost kakra oma tete salaries so allocation be was en ko baby is oma tete so kakra 11 from 1.75 to 1.5. Dear was e-levy ne ye no ebetimi aye
me da say let me say yeah e-levy in history there you started from last year easy let me say 2022 budget ba last year be discuss here and e-levy say aban per se or they or impose 1.75 no the better bank transfer mobile payment merchant payment and inward remittances ye nuanu mo amononia almost send this sika back room and also boa your economy ni impact the economy no in terms of foreign direct investment and e-levy ni buy no e call parliament say minority for anjiantum and e call hange but you share the posture of how our president timia persevere with the finance minister kosi endomutimi pass e-levy na say ni me who say I am more of president ne and I say government of the day no they say no me who say Ghana for at economy na say enye bibia na bia o de beba na Ghana for begia too because Ghana for ni tua ye taxes and I say motiti ye taxes na mutimi de hwe o man no enti say yeah in seni abantimi edisika na say odisika ne toto o man ne ho na say bibi enkoyi a otimamufo ne timi ka say there bi seni abandi esika eje no enye sa na ye expect enti ne you right to say you betimi a criticize the policy no now in terms of seni abansi edisika na ekoba ne se seni urge no encourage inconform mu entua mo taxes na emi say aban so ka say president from day one has been Ghana beyond aid internet so timishe homegrown solutions instead of going for IMF emi say inconform be so propose say nke o say yakwa me mo me the IMF ne dey say yakwa dey anka enka mepe pan because of sending komubitimi aboye ama ya financial exactly financial discipline because sika no obi ma sika or throw there so de kwakoye but ye pe fiscal space any aban na ka no fiscal space is just obitimi enya more space bi ana say obenya additional money while obitimi deciding on how to use your money
11 obi an show mo so
11 obi an be show mo so and 11 abane there ye be bomb pie say send oma bre ama enraka minority are working out of parliament na no crack here
surprise so mu jitu mu
and am ye surprise say manye surprise but me surprise a minority working out because right from day one minority are very consistent in giving pressure to majority on the passage of e-levy. That alone starts the accountability side. No? And I say in terms of transparency, taxes in the because a majority for say send a year brea ye babina e-levy minority kwe ne more parliament say no more it's nice a Ghana phone no saying na say omo hu say ye bibia any policy ni mana say ye bibia embe boa Ghana for na moral ben no mo betimi dia kwakotu omo taxes na fe endra e-levy babedu a minority for our KF parliament na me expect say committee me ababe debate no no many majority for argue out ye but I have politics of the day you know majority definitely have their way and omutimi they pass say and you know send e-levy no eba no they say questions be brave or e-levy no questions be brave or e-levy no send your mube impose e-levy no ni GGM then na e-levy ni kwa akoye I say president ebo so kakra objectives of the e-levy no yesan hu 2022 budget no na president say in terms of employment youth employment are the biggest problem in this particular country at the moment e-levy is going to help give some jobs to the youth. President account about you start. Say minister in the budget talking about you start. Send a be equip the youth with some entrepreneurial skills and also more capital be on asset up on own businesses because unemployment situation enye fidi agrosem really huge. And it is really, say, Minister for National Security, Kwampuaka, say, we are sitting on a time bomb for unemployment. And Tiniebe Hopi say, e-levy no airban. Me who saw my revision kakran su say me say oma polish ne kakran compared to
be free.
Yes, be free.
Say I had to say so you one kasa account bank to banker year free. I say no nka ho bi
bank to mobile money.
And dey be chew. And I say be a merchant and I will send it to her and also enchew.
But merchant ship no dey.
Easy. Yes, but I'm not a for kojo upon kroma now or kabibi say omo ye hiafo afri e-levy nim simply because sika na wo send no enye below 100 cedis it means na to obenya 100 cedis a chese o ska
and only question let me say I say minister etimi eba biem on say o yi hiafo
yo I mean we so na fe yakọ ahomane so ne ohim akọtwetwe nkomo ohim ma hai ohim ma hai yo ohim ma hi na ojina sisi a
ese ame wo parliament here and no ban
Dina no dina mo tiam ebe tu ja na state of the nation let it address. Na me na entu the brain what dey atiga ni go ba ku me bi tu a what over pani e kana so me e entu ni wa obi da ku ni ka e ba ku na wa 10,885 kilometers.
Oh him.
E ba you say e ku ya ye so no we some tu a e do tu a what be.
Oh him.
Ya me ye general secretary former general secretary wo no e pani e ma NDC amado ko ya baba general secretary wanja former one na wo NDC na le si amene baba e na en sala no kura ya baba wa ye ne ba pedi ko ba ke enne o ma pe ni ma to do dua no se no si ni baba e baba e ni ya team be da si ni de mi unu la anteni akwete afidia oba alfindi oba enyo ngo tande kedu da bi kwa la mango ko record to ona anteni so ye be bo ya we ka be ma pastor na ye unu mo ane se ene ma me oba nema ohawa enwo manyo ma tatan onka wa se mura oba de oba be ka se ode tobo ebofo nipa bi womo anamba o mai ayi o free to go bodo so na fi oko promise ya kuna buiba me be yes ikile yen se do mai no jilambre etie ewone etuba janu kase afia da ye mu ye ti ho ko se ye be school that way ye school that way and state of the future address na ho ye the state of the nation as it is now and untinu ye ni muhammad and as so before bibi to a e de atu no na to ye bibi a obi aye and na all bi no aka se me na me and what you bibi fo ya wo state of the nation akwai o kase every say Ghana beto o no ne apaye no ni apaye do pa na wa bote banti beto tunu a ewo tuye do wa tuye ade nti na ta ko e ni mba bi ana sewe ana no kata ye kan ko tinya on tiasie almost 11,000 kilometers of new roads to our city. 10,000. Just almost 11,000. Why do you know who is there? The fire at Israel, Echo, UK, London, and back. In Russia, 10,000. Why do you know that? It is a fine of that. The people that are the mind to the and when he did a cousin and I actually business. They never found the family among us. I feel not one M. One more than 200. One day, one factory. And I wanted to do not send the woman. It is in Kawanya more than 230. That can this to be a view. This is our my business. Now why is one to one person and one young and then this is the WOHO business. And I don't say, wow, we did that. Who person that you say, if you are the attractive one, I should have told every kind of now, when my sister say, Kiajumalu, I hear you forward the Anya. You say, you didn't go to. We never got something. Say, let me go to work. We don't say, so be that say, planting for food and I hear you take a time in 2 minutes and you say, planting for food and job. Near you want to say, yeah, crab and every time at the above my movie. They are not a good year. And then I just say, near planting for food and job. I play to get a citizen employer. I can want them to buy food and woman yet. ne wa be ya tu se tra bra ya ka ye humo ya so ya kana atra se ya be ka ye humo ya ni wa ya ju ata te hu se ya wa na mu e ka se ya ko di free imam ko ba e do no mu ya ko ba ke mu fa ya bu tin ta me o se o ti kana ko ye bi na se o mu ami na mi ko ti ta na bi ko be mu e de e bi na mi ti se an kanne o be use that opportunity no address the call there yeah investigate that public expenditure public and they are who are about the war yeah training that public the put you aba and no say say what na ti wa mo mi an bi mo dem me book mi an bi mo say obi anya bo ni so ti ti tan jam mo ko that fe o ka say so mo mi an ko e ma te be na ka mo ma so na I know apa ko ye bottom ye modin the people who stand here, they are going to do that. The camera to know and so a bad thing. Onua the parliament, you have to do the wire on the matter. When you said the parliament, the party are doing the parliament in partiality. And yet, I'm from Rampal. I'm from Rampal in the party. And the Bible, see a Bako near Coach and ya be ja na aka Onua na bon tomato ni nyina e ne ma ni ko ni sia be jo bi ya mi ka ti e pe pa ni bon tomato se ade ya ye nyam pa si na afi MPP ni communicated ni na ni disaster se the president ni abura ba o se ile bi a empathy ni na inflammatory ni disaster and then common funding my C11, get one or C11, health insurance, adding or C11. You just say the 11. You heard me now, okay, I did the common funding, Baba, contract from Yamoka, almost over here, get one, and Baba, health insurance, and Baba. Would this be why I want to obviously out to Yamoka? Basabu Mundra Musu, the Aka, I be the people, and not only that, you get your motor to Raka, ya or many Maldi. Ofika Karin can say, you wait for now you have it. What's always very little at the amount. My 11 and young woman, they will make it. Papa, and the person is to me and to all together. No, Mina. Hello.
Him.
Yeah, Mina.
And my was here now. Yeah, for us.
Him.
Him, sir, when you're a far for Francois, yes, you are a card or yet you why?
No, and the papa, Ewa. Mammy, no, Papa, I have honorable Rebecca King. I have honorable, please. Yeah, Mohammed is here with me. So, honorable, how do you feel about this state of nation address? It's not a state of the nation address, it's a state of the nation promise. President was not from it. Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution is very clear. Tell us the key state of Ghana. The president didn't say anything about the profound corruption in this government. He didn't say anything about the suffering of the people of this country. What happened today? He mentioned the word corruption once. We are talking about unemployment. The president noticed the rate of unemployment in this country is 14%. The dollar, the last time I checked, was 7.8. As a matter of fact, fuel prices are escalating. This is what the people of this country expected to hear from the president. But what he said, what he did, was once again making promises. That's what the people of this country are looking at. Now, he said he had 13,000 acres of land that's going to contract American oil. But he's been telling us this lie not today. The president also peddled falsehood on the number of road construction. And I will tell you a document provided by the Minister for Roads. These are not my words. These are the words of the Minister for Roads. In terms of the road construction they have done about 4,000.
and they published it just 7 months ago. So how could the president tell us that he constructed over 10,000 when they themselves provided a document, the Minister of Food, they have constructed 4,000 rooms? Is he suggesting to us that he's able to construct about 6,000 rooms within 7 months? This cannot be the truth. And as a president, he ought to have been honest and sincere with the people of the country. Because what happened yesterday was a complete illegality. And I'm saying that the day coming will be pregnant. You're talking about the E-levy. Yes, he also said something that for me was baffling. He said that the Commander Sugar Factory, they have done about 86% of it. I want to find out from the president what they have done. Nothing. The only thing they have done at Commander Sugar Factory is they picked their some. Nothing. They told us that the NDC constructed the factory without raw materials. Find out from them whether they have provided any raw material for the purposes of the factory, for which reason the president is going to commission. He mentioned another company, Pamanova. Pamanova has been in existence for several years. They put up a new factory at Trump. The president said, as part of the 1 factory, we commission that factory tomorrow. The list the people of this country expected from the president is to be peddled that kind of force. He peddled. All right. So how do you rate this particular State of the Nation? It was not State of the Nation's address. It was State of Promises address. It cannot be the State of the Nation. All right.
One ma owura mutaka kokwa dada o. When say woni ba bi odi MP no. Asanwase de ono katwi pa. Oni Madina ana shaman no akabrofo. We ho katwi pa. Antina sa woni shi akatwi why? All right, say you say what call NDC afama for the pam you nti fa ba ko free MPP afama na any other person na ye to aso.
Okay. And I'm free. MPP afama na many so any for name to say State of the Nation address say to Edeneba. But now you babu e wa ha me no e ba be tete komo ye butano concerning about the State of the Nation that is now ade e go mo wa ha se tie ni say and to be money na ni baby a media ko ni na tia ye interview no and to be none of the MPs e wa ha ye no bi a wa ha ye who NPP ni bi a wa ha ni na muta ba NPP ni bi wa yenya the one now for your NDC ko kwa Apia
yo
Eni na ohim onya fofra apia ni akofa
na we akofa
aha se ne ekeka kwedie na chese MPP for no market ya minim ne nti o market ne de nko nti
se o ko bohu se o se ko to
party mani aje ile biaba but one Julius the one I say oh ya kwanye you levy yeah training allowance ma
you levy ba you go find you from ra
you bibia you levy no sika ye benya dia free mu no betimi asolve your problem. Because say don't forget your teso.
Yes.
Instead of 1.75, estimate 6.9 billion. No, they say 1.5. It's the annual 6.9 billion.
Yeah. Let me say the expected revenue and I said the projected revenue from e-levy. Actually, based on the figures, say within the last 5 years, the trade volumes and I say the turnover on mobile money transactions from mobile money started here G2 Magana for it as a last year and as in 2019-2020 now a rise could do 500 billion Ghana cedis and now almost now say bo e-levy home adrimu pone say if on this trade volumes and I said transactions figure 500 billion. So it means impose this 1.75 as at the time. Our 500 billion now. Then we are doing a little bit from between 5 billion to 7 billion annually. And that is the money the government is expecting. So 5 billion and also 7 billion e-levy tax O budget deficit already no is 37. Into enya dia e-levy no ebe maga aban no ho ba beto no. Sene enkomo no airport no. Na emo no secret wo mu ne say onze say aban de free SHS buy no. Ye wo levy ba ko e friend no get fund. Ene national health and insurance levy eno na VAT so.
Okay.
Aban no e collateralize that revenue coming from get fund NHIL levy no. And lomo ka say omo dey improve on infrastructure of free SHS.
Okay.
O mezi see school adan be account.
Ya nyane ntia say yera kenoforata kasa eti madaroma moma yemfa yera kenoforata voice ne kakra emra.
We had some meetings of the Controller General and the NGRA, and they have indicated to us that right at the beginning of May, they should be able to get the systems all together.
We have barely 1 month. About which transactions will approve or attract, which specific transactions? Following your town hall meetings, what are some of the conclusions? I've seen the bill, we've seen the approval as well.
So those are the same things that I think the only thing.
Resources.
Okay. Yenko Ohimbema ho na yene no nkobo bium. Ohimbema.
Yeah, me na me dey sapia kudi.
Wo dey efa ben se ya kado ayeti wo na ugina ho ma oba mane.
Yeah, idea. Me ne jama me jama mi tipa e wo me tin Charlton. Ye papa deputy leader for majority. Also e wa me ne ma mi tipa eni kan ko mo nsana ye papa deputy Ekakata. Mami tipa. Because of any tendency who state of the nation address.
And state of the nation address, man. This answer. And President Becca now over minutes. About 21. And I have started and I used to do 2 years as president. President said, members of ECOWAS, and so President said, or all these members of ECOWAS. That was really almost the way to get to the national it is good. As long as one here, that I mean, Baba you would have said but now who are not the man, your children are right up against you, and you're not possible. And it's a I come up to my two communities. Now I don't have a come out with you. Efforts are only and appreciation going forward. And you have on the other one. Now was multimedia, and I think to man. And you're obviously almost by one. I don't want to do. It's already a minute the first of the nation address. Oh, the Munaba. What can you bet? The party for them and what I don't think that it considers the rest of us. It doesn't.
All right. Deputy leader of majority. Also, but if we are able to ensure a transparent system of managing it, posterity will judge Nana Akufo-Addo fairly and say that indeed he took a bold decision in ensuring this levy came to solve our road problem. 2, unemployment. Every Ghanaian youth who has completed university is looking forward to a public sector work. Can we employ all of them in the public sector? No. Private sector is one main area to go. So I believe that again, this youth start. If the
per the community. The system to ensure that creative entrepreneurs get opportunity are given resources to develop their businesses. Very few of our boys and ladies who are on the street looking for white-collar jobs will find service sector and entrepreneurship attractive. So ensuring a transparent system of accountability. After all, it is not easy for you to just go and take public funds and say that you are going to ask the people profit. You can't. I think that as Parliament, we should call for a system of accountability where the finance minister, at least per the provision, every 6 months in the minimum, it will come and differ. And I think it's the way to go. So we know how much has been collected. What was it used for? How many kilometers of roads have been fixed? When we are not funds that are going to go into the contributed fund, I think let's embrace it. Move on as a country. We pass the law. The president, I'm sure today or tomorrow, may attend, give his assent to it. Let's move on as a nation. But let me also say that yes, the NDC minority has been firm, has been vociferous, has been active in articulating their views, but they've generally been cooperating. You know, well, these are to be expected in politics. They may be unpalatable. They may be unpalatable. One of the tools you use to express.
Yes, Abre, you have bought na Yahweh, Ako, you are a Fayoma Kinson Chain, if you said, Nana, you would tot. Ama, Obi, or 100 beer in Bibiano, but immediately Ama Yahweh and every Ayanko, Ura, a Fayoma Kin, a honomo.
As opposition. After all, it is true that the views they expressed that led the government into going all out to communicate the import of the e-levy. Let's give them that credit. But for the NDC, maybe it would have been business as usual. You come and read budgets, bring your policy to parliament, pass your laws, and you forget about the ordinary people. But at least for the record, I want Ghanaians to quote me as having said that through the NDC opposition, at least government saw the wisdom in going out to communicate to the people. And I was part of the team, going all around Tamale, Ho, Kofodia, Takrade. So let's commend them. As for politics, you should expect opposition. But I think they've been reasonable.
Will you say that they are working with the stage? So that is,
oh, come on. What do you mean by a stage workout? It's
in terms of scope, smallest in terms of size. If you give somebody an examination, 10 questions, gave him 2 hours, then he took 4 hours to answer one question. In 3, what will look at that person? What bomb?
Isn't it because of COVID-19 we've seen a lot of projects being suspended in 2020?
No. So how are they able to complete it now? The point is that the agreement called the so-called barter agreement was not fit for purpose. We told the Chinese that we would go and mine bauxite, process it, and sell it, and use the proceeds to pay them. The Chinese can see we are not mining any bauxite, we are not processing any bauxite, so out of the $640 million that they are supposed to disburse by now, they disburse only $100 million. That is where the problem is. It's not about, how do you call it, anything to do with e-levy or anything. And I'm saying that, yes, we can all see, in fact, as we speak, in the road sector, it is possible to say that there are a lot of activity. In my little knowledge, at any time in our history, there are about over 2,000 road projects going on everywhere. The bottom line, though, is that as we speak, we owe road contractors about 9 billion Ghana cedis. Cocoa Road project alone on contract is about 15 billion. If you put all the road projects across the country together, the total value is what? Close to 40 billion Ghana cedi, unpaid for. So, and then meanwhile, you have taken over 40 billion Ghana cedi in terms of debt. So where is the 350 billion when you still owe contractors 9 billion?
You said 350. There were some debt levels before they came into office. You've accumulated all and drop it in their names.
What they have, what is in their name now as government of Ghana is 350 billion.
including what the previous government also left in office.
Deduct 120 billion from the NDC. How much is it? It's still a huge amount of money, unprecedented. And where are the road projects to be completed to be used for it?
Very concerned for the contractors.
Seriously, because the contractors are Ghanaians. The contractors are people that bring value to this economy. 9 billion. You're telling us that when we pay e-levy, by the way, we were told that once e-levy is passed, you will not see pothole on your road, you will not have water problem, you will not have unemployment, everything in this country will work. They have not passed e-levy as far as I'm concerned. Based on the Supreme Court ruling that NDC was 137 in the chamber when we rejected the budget. They came with 138 and passed it, and the Supreme Court upheld comply with Article 104, 138 to pass. As we speak, we know without a doubt that our colleague Adjo Safo is out of the country. So where did they get the 138 to pass the pass the
We also have good information that some of your members were present, were absent yesterday.
Well, it doesn't matter whether we were absent. We walked out officially.
So our number is not really.
So our number is not supposed to be added to the 138. It is their 138 we are talking about. They didn't have 138. So now all Ghanaians are looking to the Supreme Court. The same principle you use to reject the NDC's approval of the rejection of the budget, you must use the same to tell the NPP that once Honorable Adjo Safo is not in the jurisdiction, you have no room to wiggle yourself out. Yesterday, what they did is an illegal act.
That can only be achieved when the NDC moves to the Supreme Court to.
I can guarantee you, we are taking legal action to that, and expect the Supreme Court to do the needful by actually telling the government e-levy. And the final word is, ask the president, show us the 10,000 kilometers you constructed. Is it
okay? Example because of na Ghana bedro na che yeah.
Like I say, you be koye dim na ya bere.
Ne kan no. Ne kan ne fifira free yen.
Yes, because it look as if say yen share dan nya obi a wodwen mayen. Aha. Because omo sisi ya no eye enkrofo a ye pede e bedi ne. Ene ya ochena nka ho. Omo pede ene ya wo bedi amen. Nti wo me no mienu ya da ache no is out of context.
Ade esi nrai. Asem esi nrai. Na aiso no obi a kom de no mo preduane. Na wo de abufo se ma poahyew. Ensuo be no anu aso ahoro ne nsa no wadi. Oba na ebu asisi wo se a ebi no mo ye ne nrai. Wo se omo number ne nso 138.
Ala wo point na anto aba no. Nkika wo to aba na omo vote ya. E ka oba wo se ebenya na meba Julius won se ne ye ka bibi se sika ye benya free e-levy mo no. Wo de hwe ye deficit kra eda ho no na ye se nuru half. Ye mu ye deficit na wo e je se ye budget ne ho ka nyina no de egu akire kra no. E-levy ni nuru mu half.
Yes.
Enti ade na che se e-levy ne be solve your problem. E ho na ne yadru.
Pentina e-levy no. Se na mi chichiri mo no. Get fund se no mo ye ma get fund any NHIL levies no. Where did that VAT so did that now mo di improving infrastructure for free SHS and building new dormitories my students na bitimi accommodating more numbers no. That is what e-levy no say no and say 5 billion na aban no change so my buying 5 billion is going to me fan here because Canada da no moses here e be mene no sisi enye my buying 5 billion is here ne care wo no more contractors road contractors car salaries payment because here budget na 3 items e fasika ni nyina compensations wages and salaries interest payment. Until before we nya kakra bi kwa de ama infrastructure e rules wonom no
etefa
yes until nya de e-levy 5 billion no o de ma ban sisi a ebe ye bibi
na me bo no je se ya hwefo a ehwe yen sabro bi wa kontomra ana bo wa chichiri ba bi a brofo nyina wa nte ase a ye bubum se mo moti ase no na ye se e-levy na ye bet ti se kwa akoto dra na wode samana na sonsono sha no no omo de e-levy ni shedra na no akopesika na za de
say yes omo de e-levy ni ba akopesika kese
okay
e-levy ni bebo aban se na aban se ope fiscal space no
okay.
because o call development partners omo ma sa fiscal space no omo be ma wa say wo be hye wo ho so wo be di wo ho so wo be make sure say wo be cut wo expenditure some of the expenditures bi wa na say me hon na kan be say aban ti mi call IMF na that discipline no ebe back akra but ankoba ne sa enti no
Julius ya hwe wo ye screen so sisi ya fe na o ma panyi speaker of parliament ye hu say majority leader minority leader so ewo ho enti we ya president wo no na afa na all vice president so to speaker eka ho na menim se ne ama haru na wakona no wo enchem wo no menim se wo ka chen se papa ase na de o ma fans burushu obi aba introduce no bia no ama ne fans eti o ma panyi o ye last inspection na afa wato na kwantu so akọ Jubilee House na ene menim se ye dan ya party after party
and second party
after party
and the party be chen ready
iti you show on your TV wo Facebook no so ana chese ne de wo hwe sisi e parliament is o ma panyi wa wie ne bibia because o wie wo so sign book no sign ya e kire se wa parliament no o so sign e kire wo mo say me ba me ne mo be ye business say ma wie mi ko fie
we me busa question back
ma wie mi ko fie mo fa mo dan eti wa sense and nkata wie eti wa be gi salute na fe what my beautiful Rebecca Sujina ho Samira my husband is still on top one also ejina hobby enti Matthias ya pandi say we ye and ye so e parliament but back on e-levy no say me pass ye calculation be Julius one say aban kuntabuo no obu ye no ye te say de bia me sending more than 100 cedis e dia koma appear e na obeti emu 1.5 which is 150 pesos. Say sika no me send ko ma apia na apia so send dia say aban beti o
yes
and no sir like that calculation ye but as a calculation is based on only one
person
transaction
but sika no involving ekosa eko just say ada answer sika so ada
exactly so it means 5 billion ye benya bro that is what I think.
Yes, I think we share e-levy and omo de buy na. Omo aye transfer no say from mobile money to say we use MTN now o transfer ma a different person or MTN.
Interoperability.
Yes, beto. Charge no. Bank for no.
Okay.
Any MTN for telcos for no.
Yeah.
And payment services to say Ghana.co e-transact ni ZP ni sanko for no. Omo nebe charge. Na transfer no first one transfer done on the same mobile money network. That is, for example, sending money from MTN Momo wallet to another person on MTN.
Okay.
The next one here from MTN to Tigo and I say Vodafone and I say Airtel. The next one here from bank account to Momo account. The next one is here from Momo account to bank account. And the last one here, bank transfer on all digital platform. And that is from GCB Bank to Prudential, Zenith Bank to maybe NIB. So between the banks and all. And see, a honor sikano.
A honor
sikano. A honor so no more target because o share a relief norm the buy and they say for a daily transaction of 100 cedis, above 100 cedis, and the best start to apply. And now I'm say the poor people and I say yes have been exempted. But omo me poor krom hanum say 100 cedis no sabi enye sike bia 100 cedis the oga say o dey no year for exemption ama transaction na say majority of Ghanaians will be taxed o dey hwe dey abobo obosu no enti another exemption so mo dey buy between say bia wow we send it from Momo MTN now say Momo bia o Tigo from the same person no and the yentel ahane say bia wo de ye payment to abia wo de tua taxes fees and charges MMDA so called tua business operating permit building permit and property rate na and no say yentel enti me share daily transactions and as a transfer and for you na huge and 100 cedis 200 cedis asem nkofo timi transfer as huge per day ebi wo ha 10 million cedis obu ha 5 million jedifo be bring now musika omumu so okwa aboso kan spare party for ya obi bo mu account or dey bet 100,000 60,000 per day because transactions come on a dozen nkofo toniomo mu tua de antisika no timi accumulate and there will be multiple taxation
and also the farm niema
yes and no answer no mo the form niema
mo no kwa mo accept no port nyina
yes
am woman ba kwa no po ye audio ba osusa
obesu
enti multiple streams of taxation no ebeye enormous scanner as taxes ne be duplication sabe brisa but nini na mpo we nyina echi no the expecting is say sika ne ba ejuma na omo person mo di sika ne ye no ehun kuntembuo na eho enanka enoni asem no se ne nka yeti oman mu na yetua taxes na ka ye de boa aman yo anase aman ejuma se ne be ya Ghana betimi akọ n'anim a enka enye problem na sika ne bebe ewie chire no na afa expenditure we afa ha sa financial indiscipline na any ho no eno na ma Ghana fo edi ya say so omo contribute sika kakra ema aban a na eye omo ya eno ne discussion no enti momo ne de se ne ndo minority fo ntimi amboa Ghana fo months na parliament anye debate argue because research be and say even momo ne kwa no na ewo minority for manifesto mu it is MPP for crown farm makra na in future na say baba inti ade o ma dwene ho na momo ho inhyehyeye ne se ne be ya ebe suiti Ghanaians no eno na ye hwehwe na me share discussion bi wore Rwanda other African countries no aho traba into omunya no mu looki up to some tax the digital economy Rwanda for propose e-VAT say na be ya mo be charge VAT or electronic transactions so bibisa na nka ye expect say nka ye de no ebe ba koye but ankoba ne santi 11 ni de eye quick cash e de be bre aban na emom sa quick cash ne aban nya sa quick cash na den no ode be ya ma Ghana for
ile se sika we be ma ban na ni so ata no ama hwe obedi ni nyafunyafu
o hwe run up no asa ma ba ho popo e tu nyina ba
wow because I say me kita 1,000 cedis ma send mu 700 am Julius here was sending emu 600 ama apia ni nyina ya ti o ni nyina ya ti apia sending 500 ama Jude Jude sending ama Reverend yati into we say sika ba ko no
oh there you am going to say ye nyina ya wa he ye bosumi ejuma bosumi so aban eti tax employers eti tax
no edika su ansa kwa no se piaka
media eno na me ya no because say no ansa na MG for betua me kan matua tax dada enti me chom money na aba mi bottom no wo se me san
me na onyi bi
just it doesn't make sense
ono na discussion no wo panka o senka minority for meet na parliament no mutina
no mo twe da awere wo so
yes we say o me kwa koto milk your consumption your consumption tax which is VAT VAT eda milk so say man fa cash and to milk no na say me tia with mobile money
me champion
na say my exceed
and they will send their man okra we dey card ne dey
anu say di card ne
say 1 cedi 50 pesos no ayetua no ma 11 no ho a 100 cities bia no in and out no 2 cities
ai o de beto so
ho no kwa
eno no ye no this all person nipa nya 100 cities pepe e was say extra 2 cities 50 pesos e to so ntu be wie no spend 5 cities e 100 cities no ho
and as I say kra no o my ne say telecommunication companies you know send your moti in charge no sa no be T11 no
oh yeah
and to be ti no mo de ama aban enti no they say no o send na the bit to so o no on be system no monitoring platform in such a way we fa no mo betete enti daily transactions can e be ba aban ne de ye quick cash
tete pa na e ba ye nsu say
enti say na tete ama tete
na sika ne be wi a de e kwa akoye e say eno ni asem no
your time now so ba me pese touch on this on say na my penye kasa na oka bibi say VW fo aba man na cars ni ade e say o say Kia fo ba e na Hyundai fo so ba eno no dia na be ade to economy because ye ti kroma ye ti to brand new cars ye di sika
be sam ya ko guta ne AGI phones and na ejina say enka eyasempa send cars ne badia me de send be ya cost of production anticipation is a cost of production embra form na Ghana for ntimi den entobi na amo companies omo ya multinationals omo ya international companies or ba no be produce am the same quality be or ya Japan Korea na you don't expect company no nya for that Christmas say be obetete ne material so ana say ne cost of production no there be into on be assembly na wie kra na fe a cost of a Kia maybe Sorento and I say Hyundai Sonata and I say assembling Ghana here no maybe you can now share cost of importation you can now do in the low I say about it me engage those automobile industry for no who said they should produce according to our economy according to Sikana Ghana for ewo your purchasing power no and in a bit me then amaya talk those products no name me your purchasing power ye low no mo be assemble ha na still a cost of production no high there importation na beba so
and ya na sani akwa ide na say enkomo no efrichi na akwa beto aso pa state of the nation address ya o mapanyi na nadan kwakufa do be kan ye ide as a cut and paste last year the na bi no cut ye and what dey yi kakra bi no wa paste what ase enti efrichi na akwa no discussion no beto aso apia minister wo bibi apese o kan
de e kan nyina ne sense bebrebe kan nyina no ebi nko na bi mra esaswa
yeah, any my Julius as a power financial and tax expert and a or beboy Julius Yami and Shaw. There be our one year chun, ya betchun.
None also her, who bought one brand of it.
Why are their pioneer production team as led by Thibault?
The great Timo.
Unity.
What would you better such Timo?
I said to make us already Tina already dinner. What to me was a bass and a sopa and near me gumuso doso.
Young first I get
Tina sopa and get a womb. Ya Tadabiana or Balas I was a ma. Timo and as a director and Afe camera Jude and the Reverend Yakupon with some papa pam. Meaning say Yakanya ready China conversation was so continuous. Yatiti okra Nimia Bema
Apia Kubi
there was Santa International. Enti ewie yakra to aso ofie ye da ase.
Say ukotodwe uti to be paiwa ma wo ye hu hwenye yi adwuma edi brefo ama waposo ene waposo ina ye wo ya say New East Chinese Hospital ho idie dompemu yade ebekokora emabiem waboboro ama dompemu abupen ana say ukasa emabupen uba New East Chinese Hospital a yede heat light ene agoponcha ene sadompemu yade nyina ye won fidia yede wura dompemu eyi yade bia hinta wo dompemu ma wonya ha na bra New East Chinese Hospital ye wo Kumasi Stadium Sobolo ya ben odefo asale pe ubetumi afre ye wa homa yi so 0558799990 anase 0558799991 New East Chinese Hospital dompem yade ebe kokora eme
Budia, say dear, if you kona ni bi ankasa. Enti kanena na ye bosile, me damu ye hye no. Ni nyina atwam. Anas Boy Enterprise. Esem control say, what you fear ye? We hear POP ceiling papa with many design, plaster board installation, TV unit design. Any talent ahodo nyina. We be try neat, we sanso ye painting. Enti ye dan bi a wasie. Ye be painting the cover, e dia ma. Window designs bia. E bia na wo dwen say, wo be sifie. Anas Boy Enterprise. SCT, say residential and commercial construction. Afi where renovation and remodeling, surveying be our panel, obey common architectural designs I call corporate my buyer, and drawing plans, obey any needs at the amount. NT, so open name Mamabu Bosuina, Ejumadia, Anas Boy Enterprise, no show needs, located Anas Boy Enterprise, our Tantra Hill, Amasamai, and the Ablikuma, Canada Junction, so open Shimwa, Fred 034 611 3461, Anas Boy Enterprise, William Day, Ankasa.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Hey, tell me more. Tell me. Beer.
They ma worry me. Watch me, you come 1 week, Mr. Oh. Now,
yes. Boga, nothing. Senior, name me a new cut down. My business is a collapse. My house.
So, take quick credit in car.
quick credit?
Yes, quick credit. Upesika, edi astati adwuma bi. Uhia bisia edi atre odwadie mu. Wo government and a private worker. Upesika de ate hot so. Wo ye bosumi adwuma. Wo ye sika de bibi ntempai so. Quick credit be ma wo loan, e mo atua ne kakra. Na enije sem kese ne se, e collateral free loan susu savings, account opening, and a deposit asembia no. Here ne say, wo Ghana card. 2022 there, one year juma, na wo na wa yo. Who need excuse here? For quick credit was 03022 and 05969 But see na quick credit take us auto out.
Onua TV.
Anuanom ne adofo mo so mpo Dr. Amponsa na nenso menemo ebo nkomo yi sede ebe ya obenya nkwana abenyina chentia ya na menya bre ebetra ha se beboa wo na nyame afa me so asa ya me obi wo ho se doctor ene me ko achika se ya me ya machika se ya me ya me mfe ya me ya ena me sisi ene me to ase ya me ya kuro nko a ekuro na wom me kunuma wasa na ema nyina bejai Obisi doctor mi yemu aye mi ya che kuro the friend stomach ulcer announce peptic ulcer saa na ema nyina ye kuro a eba oyem announce gastric ulcer ni nyina ye kuro aba oyem no no ma yi mframa ten ene ye friend gastric ulcer announce wo keso ten so wo te sa bra kuro aba oyem ena mframa gina oyem ye beboa wo ni ya sa yawe Dr. Amponsa Herbal Hospital ye beboa wo ni ya de wo kwa na wonso so awutie me obi se doctor miti mo bombe me kasa nipa ntum nyina ho na miti eye me dudu miti ye me ja minu ya bibi wo utima ya fe ne tumu ade na hono ensuo na pai ensuo no gira utim sa toxic no na hohome ya eba kan na nipa ntum nyina obi se doctor me de na enfi mitim but every me throat ebi wa na infection anasa sore throat anase wobi so ana wudidi endagasi na ade bi wo tuotua saa de no se wudidi ana abie wudidi wi ana akato sa wode no kwan beda ho a santie wo yam no epie firi wanum ebonso ne bibia wo wiase wo ko nipa mu enye yi onko a wote wokora wo bre menko ho wate Dr. Amponsa metiase idie nyame ma metumi se mensa yare obi se doctor media ne se me jonso emma na me chim me yim frama sansa na jonso na tumi aba wo prostate problem o prostate na da se cancer na se prostatitis na se prostate enlargement no so oba ye bebo na yasa yare obi so o doctor me wo burning sensation me wo hihime bra ekro woni paduanom acid akoni paduanom ye besa yare ma ho ato na wonso wanya ompomoden obi so doctor media menansi tai o wa na me yafuna hono so nansi tai na ye kidney no ekura ba kidney no me sa kidney ni yare a ensu akọ nansi ni na kidney no abetwe so yafuna hono na bibia hono ba ebuo ma broni friend tumo eno so no se me boa na me ku me sasa tumo no free obra ebuo no ma ekura wo no ye kunu ma wa o ho beto na wanya peace ananse wanya wasundie na wanyina che obi se doctor me de enye no na mom me wo awo problem awo men ha ho awo ma so ye open time yenu yensa abewo so wo ye obi a wo se wanyini na wanyini nti wapa awo ho ha de wunyini kura bra na ye moa na won so no watumi awo na wafa ho no ba enti ma so ye de wunyini bra awo enye nsohwe ye nsohwe ye ma wawo afa ho no ba wujidi ahwe machira kwan fe numbers na wo TV na nim no fa phone twa na picture wo twa na picture afa na wa frame ne ye WhatsApp number no abrochire for mon frame no na hospital no bi wo Holland Bama ho anase kindness wo e bi wo ena won so a wutie me na wo Ghana aba biara Accra ye was Spentes Coastal station wa buso mo so hwe taxi for no so hwe Dr. Amponsa mo do beba Kumasi wo hwim Tigo Junction taxi rank wa ho ne ye wo sunwane new via re na yesi wo koto kronkwa so balance wo ne ye wo bra no beje wa yarusa menu a wohwɛ me a wosu wodi awerɛhoɔ ka wakoma to yɛ mu ate na nyame ama me tumi sɛ me nsa ɔyareɛ yareɛ no yare diabetes o pancreas no na yare diabetes yɛ nsa yareɛ no but yɛ sa pancreas no yareɛ pancreas no ho tɔ no a ɔno abɛyi asikyire akɔ mogam nyinaa na wanya wasomdwie na yareɛ no kɔma ho atɔ na ɛnɛ mebɛkasa kakra bi afa saa semina wei